we will be taking a kind of a pictorial tour because I understand that you all guys may be very much packed since morning. So let us try to understand visually how the tractors, what we see as of today, they have evolved from ages. So I will be trying to present some trendy ways. You know, they have been the trend. They have been a fashion trend. So like what has been the trends in case of the tractors. And by the way, I make a prior apology for maybe weird background noise. We are at lockdown condition in the campus, and I am from attending this session from my quarter. So let's begin. You know, since the arrival of the modern rubber tractors, there has been definitely a craze for the tracks. Rubber was not invented since the invention of the tractor. It was introduced sometime during 1920s, if you will recall the yesterday's timeline. So before that, there used to be plainly the steel wheels. They were very heavy and they were a serious threat to the mobility. So having these rubber being used for traction device has really been taken up as a boon. So you may be knowing that this rubber technology, which was applied in the automobile sector, is actually an accident because it was not invented for automobiles on the earth, but it was actually invented for the mobility on the lunar mission. So it was the NASA's development. So they were exploring something which can really sustain well on the lunar surface. So they developed this rubber technology for mobility solutions. And since then, the popularity of rubber technology onto the road vehicles has been enormous. So you can see that now we no longer see a steel or an iron wheel anymore. Now, what next? We have got some introduction. Now, before I begin with this kind of a uh, uh, presentation of different models and all, let me tell you what do I expect by showing all these things to you. First and foremost, see the diversity. See the differences in terms of the designs, the way the functions which are there being used and being devised for the utility sake. And third, and probably the most important one is get yourself familiar with the landscape of different manufacturers, because in many cases there could be a potential employer for you in future. So try to get familiar with these trade names and all. I have no intention to ask you to remember all these things. No way. No, please expect a sensible question from me in exams. I'm not going to ask you model number, model name, and its spec. But just pay attention, because maybe in the back of your mind you may be having these words echoing, and then you can probably answer some questions in interview probably. So we start with this Caterpillar Challenger. So Caterpillar is a very reputed manufacturer in the earth moving machinery sector, earth moving vehicle sector. So they have got this Challenger series. So Challenger 65. Usually what these manufacturers they do, the first word here, it is representing the company, the manufacturer, the original manufacturer. And then this word, Challenger here, is the model. Now within the model, they have got different series, because like we have got the alpha, beta versions, etc. So they are using these numbers mostly. Of course, it is not a rule, but mostly people are following this kind of trend. So this Caterpillar is from USA, and this one is 256 horsepower bull. It has really got power into it. By the way, what do you think about the power, in terms of the horsepower of the diesel engine, the engine which is used for locomotive, our railway engines? Anybody? Approximately, of course, there are different models and different makes, and not electric engine, but the diesel engine, because it is really the diesel engine what we are supposed to be talking about. Excuse me. Any thought? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it is taking more time to you to search, but in the meantime, I can tell you that it is roughly about 1300, 1500 to maybe 2000 horsepower in bhp. That is the massive loco engine. So this bull is 256. Okay, not bad. This is such a powerful device. Okay, now the next one is this Valentra high drive. Hope you can see these details. I'm not going to read it out. And the important thing here is, the one of the salient feature here is that the transmission is hydrostatic. It's a hydrostatic transmission. It is not that mechanical transmission. And as I explained earlier, that this is the drive wheel, this is the power wheel, and these two are the main idlers. And then we have got the four rollers in between, and in between the two idlers there is a tensioner device which keeps on maintaining the tension. And what else? Where we are focusing now? Okay, it's Caterpillar's Challenger 85D series. So it is now 370 horsepower. So here you can clearly see that this is the tensioner device, and they have also got the suspension on board. And wow, that's brilliant. Then we have this our nice green friend John Deere. By the way, the green color is a kind of green and yellow thing is now uh, a trade symbol for John Deere, whereas this yellow one is owned by two major manufacturers. One is a Caterpillar, and second one is JCB. But anyway, the yellow ones is kind of preferred by the off-road vehicles. So people, try to make their brand signatures and branding and all for marketing purposes. So this is a 235 horsepower, 16-speed gear, full power shift gearbox. It's a six-cylinder diesel engine. Wonderful. That's a full track, right? Now we have got this Tech Marshall. This Tech Marshall is from Australia. And anyway, most of the brands from Australia, they prefer this yellow color owing to their kangaroos. So, and the engine here is a Cummins. Now, you will notice that the Tech Marshall is not manufacturing its own engines, but they are outsourcing it from a company called Cummins. What about the John Deere? John Deere, they produce their own engines, whereas Valtana, they are also outsourcing it to Cummins. Look at this Caterpillar; they are having their own engines. This is also having their own engines. So don't get surprised if you see a kind of a mix and match between the suppliers of engines or what do you call them, this OEMs. Uh, Even these tracks and all, they are supplied by some proprietary manufacturers. Now we have this Moruka. It is not that famous brand. Actually, this is from Japan, but this Moruka is, I think it is now kind of obsolete from the market, because we are talking about 90s, and it has also got 220 horsepower output with the hydrostatic transmission. I hope it is visible. It is not making any visual obstruction. I'm just trying to zoom in. If it is headache, then please tell me.
No, sir. It is properly
It's
visible.
visible, right?
Yes. Yes.
Good. And this is Volgograd. That, of course, is a Russian make, still very popular. And this BT series you will be also seeing in the later slides. I have collected from internet. These models are still being developed. Seven forward and one reverse, and they make their own engines. It's from 1990. So basically, in this slide, we are having most of the products which were developed between 1900 to uh, 1990s to 2000 year frame. Then we have got this class. get the spelling correct. It is not CLASS, but it is CLAAS. It is still very much respected and quite popular. They are trying to explore their market in India. So that's a news for you guys. If you are interested, try to look at their website, be familiar with their products, their product lines. And by the way, they are outsourcing their engine from the Caterpillar. It's an American brand. Okay, then we have got this something called quad track. We have talked about these quad tracks. So it is a fully articulated, as you can see. There is a very nice articulation. It's full articulation. It's a track machine, and it is the case IH. You know, this IH stands for the International Harvester. You remember that one of the 10 greatest contributions of agriculture engineering to the humankind was the International Harvester cotton picker. So that IH was uh, I don't know whether you should call it as an amalgamation or it's acquisition, but now it is known as the Case IH, Case International Harvester. So that becomes a brand. So it's Case IH Quadtrack, and it is these days it is okay, but earlier it was used really an unusual stuff because it has got these quad tracks, that too with articulation, and look at its massive size in terms of the width of these tracks. And these are the front and rear views. So that's really something. Especially, well, today we may not be surprised with this thing, but look at its build. It was introduced in 1997, and they have got engines sourced from Cummins. So Cummins is actually very popular and reputed stuff in terms of the engine reliability, and it weighs 20 tons. 20 tons. What should be the weight of the tractor that you measured? Well, you hypothecated to measure about 2 tons, right? Maybe 2.5 tons or 2.3 tons, right? It's 10 times heavier than our smaller fellow here in our lab. So it's 20 ton, 14,000 cc is its capacity, and its top speed is 30 kilometer an hour. It's 5.9. It is close to 6 meter long. So let's see what are the different components. It has got the dry type air cleaner. You see the development in the technology. It is a dry type air cleaner with high capacity and high level of intake, because look at the size of the engine. The capacity is 14 liter. So it requires 14 liter per intake stroke. And what should be the revolution of the engine? Maybe close to 1000 or 1500 revolutions per minute. So per minute, in let's say if it is a 4-stroke engine, so per minute 700 times, in 1 minute, 60 seconds, 700 times it has to inhale and exhale. So we really require some suitable breathing functionality that is given by these kind of technologies. It has got 6-cylinder engine. That is sorry, I can't zoom in further, but there should be 6 high pressure lines which are connected to the fuel injectors. And now what else? Okay, that's how it looks from the front, and that's how it looks from the rear. We have got this as the positive drive track sprocket, which means it is the powered one. So the engine is powering only this sprocket. That is usually the case in terms of most of the tracked vehicles. They have got these 2 idlers, and this one is the track frame pivot. So it can actually pivot, right? It can pivot like this. That much swinging it should be there. Otherwise, your frame will not be horizontal. So what do we expect from the handling characteristic viewpoint of a machine is that, or a vehicle is that, the frame should remain as horizontal as possible, so that there is no pitching. We are talking about pitching here, right? This movement is called as pitching. So you are pitching about the lateral axis, the axis which is pointing inside the plane of the screen. So about that vertical axis, vertical means it is penetrating inside the screen. About that axis, that's called pitching. So this pivot is giving the pitch only to this independent body, whereas it is keeping the frame as horizontal as possible. And what else? This is got the steering pivot point. From here, it can swivel about the vertical axis, and this cylinder is used for the steering control. So we call it the steering control hydraulic ram. So it is all controlled by these black hoses. These hoses are high pressure hoses. These are not just your garden pipe, because it has to sustain a high amount of pressure, which is generated by the hydraulic motors, and then this fluid is actually creating the steering function. And here these grousers, these pads are steel cable reinforced in order to bring strength to these kind of tracks. And it has got this very peculiar and famous three-point linkages, which was originally developed by Ferguson, if you remember. So whether the PTO developed first or the three-point linkages that was developed first, don't need to remember the years. If you remember, it's good, but at least remember their order. It was there in yesterday's discussion. Okay, we have got these levers and all. Let's see what next. So if we see what we have seen so far is the generations of changes in terms of what we are evolving towards. It all began with the rubber tracks. So there was, I give it a punchline as a craze for rubber tracks. Now the steel wheels are totally obsolete. Then in terms of the technological wave, the other technology to be cited for is the quad track. And comes the big wheelers. It was really a trend at one point of time to go for very large wheels. And especially the North American manufacturers, they dominated. You will not see many Japanese manufacturers or Australian manufacturers to follow this big wheel trends, but the North American, that is the USA manufacturers, they went for this high horsepower tractor market. But the USAs and Russians, they really like these big wheeled hulls here. So let us see. Probably I have got their names. Yeah, it will be good to at least get introduced to each one of them. Let's see. Although they look like toyish, but believe me, they are really huge. 170 horsepower from International. That's another brand from USA, and it was 1979. It originated and it kept on evolving. Then we have this Baldwin. It's an Australian brand, but they are outsourcing the engine from Cummins, and it is 525 horsepower. Then we have this. This is called as a Big Bud, 500 horsepower. So these numbers usually say something about the characteristic of that vehicle. For example, here the 525 is kind of giving an indication of the horsepower. Not necessarily, okay, not necessarily always, but usually the manufacturers, they tend to go by this kind of logic. And we have this versatile. Most of these companies are now struggling to survive, and probably most of them, they have already closed or being sold to 3 or 4 major manufacturers in the world. I will tell you those names later on. So that is from Canada. It's 330 horsepower. It's V8. V tells the shape of the engine. So these cylinders are arranged in a V shape, not in line, but they are the V-shaped engines. There are 8 engines. So it is a V8. It's obviously a diesel engine, and these type of wheels are called as dual wheels. So on the same axle, 2 wheels are there. And it is needless to say that they can turn independent of each other. But that independent turn will only be used when it is required for turning. Otherwise, they both will go in harmony. That's the principle of having a dual wheel. Now we have got this Rome 475C. It is also from USA using V8 engine. This is Echo. Echo is sounding like a shoe company, but actually it is a very famous brand, and it is still existing with its full bright colors. 820 horsepower. That's massive. And case IH Quadtrack, we have already seen its features, but this is a little bit an advanced version than that of the previous one. We have got the John Deere. It's 300 horsepower. I'm not zooming in. Then we have got this Ford. It's Ford Versatile. Now you may be knowing that the Ford has been amalgamated and now it is a part of the New Holland team. So, but anyway, earlier it was called as a Ford. It's 9680. It was originated in Canada. The company is American, but they have got different factories worldwide. So don't get confused looking at the country of the origin. That does not say necessarily about the company where the country where the company is registered. However, it has to talk about in which country's factory this machine was produced. So where was the production line? And you know what happens is that mostly the region which demands that particular type of configuration of a machine, the production line is set up in nearby countries. For example, the John Deere has got Pune Works. So they call it as a John Deere Pune Works. That's how they call it. So they are producing in India. They are really producing everything down in our own country. And they have got Southeast Asia market, which is served by a Chinese production line. So John Deere has got their own production line in China. There is a place called Ningbo. So in that county, they have got the production line. So don't get confused with the country by the country of the origin. And then the next trend that you can talk about is the speed for haulage. That's one of the examples is a fast track. So this is just one example. I'm showing you that fast track, as the name suggests, it is offering you better speed, faster speeds. But there was also a kind of the USP which was floating around in the market that yeah, our machines can sustain faster speeds. You can see that the top speed here is close to 75 kilometer an hour. That's quite substantial. Your scooty, your Activa perhaps can't catch it up with if it is an older one like mine. So what happens that this is a JCB Fasttrack 185. Let's see its quick specs. Like it is, of course, it is a UK registered company, it's JCB, and in most of the agriculture engineers in UK, they are the employees of JCB. And you can also eye for it, especially if you are eyeing for an internship or such kind of things. It's intercooled, it's turbocharged. Turbocharged is different than the supercharged. I'll explain it later on, but for the time being, just try to remember that this is a turbocharged engine which makes use of the exhaust gas pressure. So using that exhaust gas pressure, some turbine is run, and then using that turbine there is a compressor, so that actually stuffs more air when you are breathing in. It's like that. You have got a somebody is struggling to take enough air, enough oxygen. So what a person would do will be doing yoga like Baba Ramdev, these Kapalbhati and those kind of exercise to increase the RPM. RPM is in the human anatomy sense is the beats per minute or the pulse rate. So if you are excited and if you are exerting, then your RPM increases, right? Your beats per minute increases. That means you have got the lungs and you have to intake the air. That air has got certain percentage of oxygen. You really don't care about the rest of the gases, but you are more interested in consuming the oxygen out of each stroke. Now, within that stroke or within that beat, you are inhaling the air, your lungs are processing the oxygen out of it, and then you have to exhale it out. And if that rate of inhaling and exhaling is increased, so there are two things which are that you have to be looking forward to. Number one, your mouth and your nose, they have got lesser time to, or your respiration system as a whole got the lesser time to get the enough air. Second thing, which is related to this word called enough, if you are not able to intake, fill your lungs with sufficient capacity, which means you are running your respiration system under capacity. That is exactly referred to, called as a volumetric efficiency, is a term used in diesel engines, in any internal combustion engines actually. So we have got the volumetric efficiency. How you can increase that efficiency? Somebody can blow air in your nose, let's say an inflated balloon, and that balloon is kind of connected to your nose, and every time you want to breathe in, that pressurized air, excuse me, that pressurized air is kind of stuffed into your lungs. So that way, more air is pumped in. That improves the volumetric efficiency, and it also kind of gives a rescue out of the time shortage. There is a very small window available. Usually, these problems occur when the engine revs faster, because then the time available for each stroke to get completed is smaller. So within that shorter duration, it is quite likely that the entire capacity of the cylinder is not filled in, and as a result of which the compression will not be generated sufficiently. And if the compression is not sufficient, which means that temperature will not rise up to the mark, and if the temperature is not rising up to the mark, the fuel that you have injected in case of a diesel engine will not ignite fully or properly. And as a result of everything, eventually what would happen? The loss in the efficiencies, loss in power. So that is all about the turbocharging. They make use of the exhaust gas pressure, only the pressure, not the gases. Those gases are drained out. There is no oxygen left anymore. So we don't want to use that mass, but we want to use the momentum of the exhaust gases to run just a turbine, and that turbine gets in the fresh air from not from this is an exhaust gas muffler, but wherever that air intake system is air muffler is mounted, it will take the air stuffed into it to improve the efficiency, the volumetric efficiency. Okay, so that's a kind of a side discussion. Let me move on. What do I have? Anything special to talk about it? Yeah, about this vehicle, they say it is an adjustable work lights which can provide a nice 360-degree illumination. Good. Then it has got the rear linkage, which has got the capacity of up to 7 ton. That's massive. Usually you can't lift 7 ton of a weight on these hydraulics, on a tractor hydraulics. But look at the size of the engine. You've got this 185 horsepower engine. So that's massive. Then what we have got here is the linkage control switches. Yeah, that's important. In the tractor, usually we do not get this kind of opportunity to operate these linkage control, or the controller switches are not given outside, but in these machines they are given outside. So the operator can stand alongside the machine and operate these switches to lift, to raise or lower the implements or raise or lower the machines or other attachments. They've got air operated external disc brakes. So it is working on the vacuum principle, and those air operated disc brakes are now kind of obsolete. I don't see that many manufacturers are still using it. They've got the front hitch as well. Look at that. They have got these front hitch, 3-point hitches, which has got the capacity of 3 ton. This difference is created for two purposes. We really need to understand that the front hitch in this case is weaker than the rear hitch because that structure is designed in such a way. It is not only about the hydraulic capacity. We can simply use the hydraulic cylinder of the similar capacity. Yes, we can do that, but it will also influence the structural stability of the system. When you are lifting something, we need to find out where is the center of gravity of the weight. Basically, we need to find out the lever arm, and then we try to see where this additional load that you are trying to lift is going to act as a moment about the center of gravity of the machine. And then it should not happen that one of the axles of this machine lifts its ground. Hope you're still with me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you have any doubt, just some out of the curiosity, it's a free floating discussion. Don't take a load of it, but if you have anything, then please stop me by. Then comes the trend of multi-purpose machines. We have seen the big wheelers, we have seen the quad tracks, we have seen the something called high speed haulage, 70-75 kilometer an hour. That's really huge. Now, after all these trends, there was also I'm not saying that one trend replaced the previous trend, but what I'm trying to make a point here is look at these different USPs people have talked about and people have really invested in. So here comes the trend of multi-purpose, multi-objective, multi-operational. Let's see. We start with this. Let me zoom in. It's Steyr. It's from Austria. And these machinery you will not probably see in our countries because we don't need these kind of machines. So there is no market for that. It does not make sense to a manufacturer to ship it to a place where only 10-15 machines are being sold a year. So that's why these are not being utilized. So we have got this model that is capable of making this offset cab. As you can see that this cab is not along the center line, the longitudinal center line, but it is offset. So that gives a a better view when you are working in the reversible driving position. So this operator can actually swivel its controls as well as his seat, so that operator can view towards the front, the operator can view towards the rear. So that was the purpose. What next? We've got here is as the Trantor MK. Oh, that's a strange one. It is basically a haulage specific model. We got the equal size, and what do you think that is? It going to be a 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive? Look at the treads in the front wheel. It should be 4-wheel drive, I guess, because you also think so, right? That's how you may actually try to make an intelligent guess, although it may not necessarily 100% correct all the time, but it will be definitely close, 99%. Look at these treads. It must be 4-wheel drive. It's a haulage specific 80 horsepower 4-cylinder. We got this Beamer. It's from France, and they say that it has got the unique articulation point underneath the cab. So okay, this is what you can pay attention to. It is the is the articulation underneath the cab and engine to the rear. Engine is at the rear side, and it has got the 3-point linkage and the PTO which are fitted on both the sides. So, well, unique designs for unique purposes. Then we have the Mercedes-Benz. Wow, Mercedes-Benz. Just a disclaimer, not necessarily all the Mercedes-Benzes are the cars, because Mercedes is also trying, and in fact it has tried successfully its ventures in off-road vehicles. So it's German manufacturer, and it's a 6-cylinder diesel, 95 horsepower. It has got an unusual and distinctive combination of equal size wheels and mid-mounted cab. The cab is located in the middle, and plus it has got a platform to carry certain heavy loads, and typically it was used to mount a tanker which is supporting the sprayer operation. As I said, unique models for unique work. They've got this Moffat. It's from Ireland. Ireland, well, it was a part of the then England, but now it's a separate sovereign entity. Its engine is from New Holland, 100 horsepower. Now, what is the unique thing with this? Now, you can probably see that these cabs are there. We also do get some of our tractors in India fitted with cabs, but in these European and in American or Australian landscape, these cabs are must because of very extreme weather, especially in winter. But our farmers are kind of immune, or probably the manufacturers, they don't see a value in adding another cost, because any additional feature would cost the dime to the buyer. So they want to keep it cheaper probably. So this model, especially, it is allowing the driver to rotate the tractor's control and operate it in the reverse. So that is the beauty of this design, and it has got the rear wheel steering when used with the rear loader. So you can actually change the way you would like to steer this this machine. And we have got this class Zerion. It's a still popular model, and it is capable of accommodating implements both in the front as well as in the rear. Then we get the Friend. Friend is another popular brand you will be seeing quite often. It's mid cab. The placement of the cab is in the middle, and it is basically a tool carrier tractor which has got the engine underneath the cab. So it has got a unique advantage because it really becomes stable. The center of gravity is certainly in the middle, because the load is mainly coming from the engine as well as from the transmission. So it is connected it is fitted in the middle. So it is quite handy for such kind of designs. Then we've got the CB Fast Track. It's a faster operation. And then we have got this, yeah, that's a new name probably. It's Clayton Buggy. Exactly, that's why the Queen Victoria's buggy, those buggies we call in Hindi is buggy, right? Or in other languages, I'm not sure, but actually this word comes from buggy, B-U-G-G-I. We add an additional H to it. That's from Clayton, it's UK, and it has got the load carrying platform, and it is mainly used for the demountable sprayers and spreaders. Okay. So with this quick tour, now it's time to see what next. The previous slides and the previous models and designs is something that people have already tried with, and they have seen their ups and downs. But then after this, what next? What do we, really expect from it. Now this image, I didn't photograph it. Please don't give me credit for it. I did a lot of search on Google and found a few things and then photoshopped a bit and then just tried to compile this presentation. So as you can see that there are a lot of control towards the rear. The conventional tractors, they do not get these kind of controls, and you can see that there are a lot of connections. Some connections are for electrical outlet, some connections are for pneumatic outlet. Pneumatic outlet is usually not being there in the conventional tractors of today, but in future, because some manufacturers have already started trying upon, so we expect that the future tractors will also be having additional outlet from a tractor. I like to talk really about that thing. What are the different outlets you get from a tractor? Drawbar, that is a drawbar, right? Drawbar power. Other outlet, the power you can get from a tractor is hydraulic. Okay, it's a hydraulic power, and sometimes you may also expect it to give maybe the pneumatic, and you may also get a power called maybe electrical. Is there anything else that we have missed it? Wow, we have got, oh yes, we have missed an important power source, which is the PTO. We have got the drawbar, we've got PTO, the electrical power output, hydraulic power output, and the pneumatic power output. So there are different types of power outlet which are available from a modern tractor or from a tractor of today and tomorrow. Let's see, what are the points that you can summarize in terms of the design trends and you can project it to the future trajectory. The first things first, we know that farming has become a business. Okay, it has become the business rather than an occupation. So it is really going on with the large companies, and it is displacing in many of the countries the family farms. Although we know that in our countries, or especially in the Asia Pacific region, our farms are small and they are fragmented. So this is your farm, but then the next farm is somewhere else, and probably in between there is somebody else's farm, and maybe here it is somebody else's farm. So this fragmentation, though it is there, but the future probably is for the cooperative farmings and the clustering. So somebody will take on rental this space, so that all these small pieces or parcels, they can be connected together. They can be literally and practically being made flat so that large machines can go on. I don't know when it will take place fully in our countries, but there has been, some drive to it. There has been some business potential to it. So farming is no longer a subsistence activity, but quite quickly it is getting into the occupation and becoming an enterprise. The next point to mention over here is the users. They are demanding high specification machines. Now people are just not being happy with an engine and the transmission, and there are four wheels, and they are doing that regular cooling stuff. Now people are demanding, those who are from Punjab, Haryana, maybe part of the Rajasthan, and those northern UP area, or especially the part of the Maharashtra side. People are really demanding the high spec machines. Whereas there are still pockets of the country, especially in the northeastern side, which is challenged with the hilly terrain. There are areas of West Bengal, Orissa, and maybe part of the Jharkhand and all, and maybe MP. So, in those states, the type of machines being demanded are differently, they are different. So the users, there's still a significant portion of users which are demanding high-spec machines with increased level of reliability and durability. It's very easy to say that, right? Increased level of reliability, but that costs you. So they can only be demanded by the farmers who are already rich, or in other words, who are already into the enterprise mode. The next trend that you may draw from the landscape of changing agriculture phase as the precision farming. Precision farming means many of the operations are automated either by the accuracy of satellite guidance or the guidance from the drones, or maybe by making use of the ArcGIS or mapping. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. So precision farming means several operations to be merged or maybe done at the same time in order to go for the reduced traffic. You don't need to really go out to the field multiple occasions, and thereby you can save the traffic, thereby you can save the soil ecosystem from compaction, and at the same time you can reduce the cost while increasing the precision of the whatever application that you are undertaking. Then we have got the globalization effect. You don't really need to wait for getting the clearance of setting a factory. For example, if Mahindra wishes to produce something for which it requires a specialized production line, and it is taking time from the government to get the clearance, etc. No, now the Mahindra can produce that product in different factory, maybe overseas, and then just simply can ship it back to the country. So there are a lot of effects coming from the globalization. There is a tough competition. If the model which Mahindra is offering is not giving you the cost advantage, then certainly you'd like to go for Kubota, you'd like to go for John Deere, you'd like to go for Fend, you can go for Dutzfar. So we have got several options to put it forward. So that is the effect of globalization. It is taking place, and assembly is now carried out on a global basis with engines made in one country and transmissions in another, and then they are called as an assembly line, not as a production line, but the assembly line. There are four big players worldwide. You may or may not necessarily agree with me, but this is based on certain metric. These companies are regarded as John Deere, not necessarily in a particular order, but because these orders, they keep shifting from one position to the other. But these four major players worldwide are John Deere, CNH. Now CNH, they used to be formerly known as the New Holland with the Case Corporation. Now Case, as I already told you, that it had acquired the IH, International Harvester. So CNH is now a coalition of New Holland. New Holland actually acquired the Ford. So the Ford, IH, Case, New Holland, these all are now known as CNH. Then we have got the Echo, and it's mainly based in Europe. So for Europeans, Echo is as respectable as John Deere is for Americans. Dairy and Company is an American company, and they are a part of their national pride. Similarly, Echo is the pride of European farmers or European things, and of course, Mahindra is our own. That's made in India, and it is one of the largest tractor manufacturers by volume by far, more than 200,000 units per annum. That is really something worldwide. So Mahindra has got that much of reputation. So with this, what we can actually deduce is that where that more emphasis uh, is given, the more emphasis is given to the enhanced performance. Uh, the performance should be better. Why I can't remove it? Enhanced performance. Now people like to talk about the performance, may it be the drawbar performance, may it be the specific fuel consumption performance, may it be the work quality performance, and now lowering the emissions. These PS6 things, Bharat stage, now we are into the level 6, that has really changed the landscape. Now the emissions had to be cut short, and that automatically improves the SFC of several engines. Then people are going for the trend of increased telemetry. You may have also noticed in your car, or maybe in your parents' cars, or so. Earlier it was not there, but now there are something called Blue Link, right? I think some of you may be able to get a sense of it. That people are now demanding to know what is the status of my vehicle, my machine, where it is operating, what is that available fuel with it, what is the service schedule of it. So that is what people are thinking about it. So that's increased use of the telemetry. Then we have other trend is about the average horsepower is continuing to rise. So it will rise. The average horsepower of machines, it will rise. I'm not saying the average size or average weight of the machine. What I'm saying is the average horsepower of the machine, average power of the machine. That indicator is on rise. So that also gives addition to what you call this articulated, articulated operation, articulated steering, or that also gives rise to the rubber tracks. You may also notice that may not be the full track, it could be also partial or the quad tracks. Quad tracks and partial tracks, they are different. In partial track there is a wheel plus track, but in a quad track they all are the tracks, but independent and individual tracks. And what next I may say is about the probably the touch screens, touch screen displays. They're also being used in number of tractors. I've personally seen in terms of configuring the drive mode, in terms of configuring your engine settings, and then we have got this, what you call it, active suspension. Earlier tractors were known for having no suspension. Now, how you can have a suspension on a tractor, because it has got a lot of pitch, lot of roll and all, so that really is absurd. But now people uh, are demanding a more comfortable cabin for driver, more comfortable seat for the driver. And to end my talk for now, here is the infinitely variable transmission. Now the days are gone when people used to go for, you've got the reverse and you've got the first, then you got two, you got three, four, and maybe five, or maybe other type of the gearbox where this is one, then you got two, three, four, five, and maybe a bit of a sideways to the reverse. So now days have gone, and plus there's a high and low selection. So we have got 5 in high, 5 in low. So that makes it 10 forward gear and 2 reverse gear. That's how we calculate. Okay. So if there are 12 times 2 means we have got 6 gear and 1 reverse, and with 6 plus 1, right? And then we have got the selection of high or low. So that makes it 12 by 2. So like that we actually count. So having said that, with all these trends that we have talked about, the futuristic trends, we still have got these there's a place for very basic and mid-size or low HP tractors, low HP machines, they will continue to be demanded. It's not like they are going to fall, at least not in the near future. Their demand will continue, but still there will be a sizable market, for these kind of machines which are having these trends in the future thing. All right, so I think I have overdone for today. Tell me if there is any query you'd like to raise now. We'll continue with a few of more images if you like. Otherwise, we will simply move on towards bit of the descriptive session. All right. So yeah, let me know if you have any query. Hello, am I still audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Oh, good. Really, you really gave me a stroke. Otherwise, I was thinking that I have been speaking all along without even checking that my voice is reaching to you or not. Okay, you saved me. Yeah, tell me if there is any query. If no, then thank you very much. We'll meet again on Friday for the lab. Is that true, right?
Yes, sir.
Friday 2 o'clock. Will meet for the lab, and I have extended the deadline for submission. Please upload it there. You still get a chance. I will be sad if you will be missing the opportunity of getting marks for
Sir,
that.
for some reason the assignment isn't showing up for me. So many.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't know why that thing is happening. Now, what I will be doing is there has been one workaround. I will remove you and will add you once again. So probably that way it may work. Okay.